Welcome into Caldwell County today. I'm Eric Stafford, and joining me, of course, is the man, the guy in Hudson, and that is Keith Smith. And we are talking about the next show coming up for the Dinner Theater.
We are. Hi, Eric. How are you?
Doing well. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fine. We're getting ready to start with 9 to 5.
9 to 5.
The Dolly Parton musical. She wrote the music and lyrics for the musical version. If you remember, it was a 1980 film or 1979 film with Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin and Dolly herself.
I saw it at the Center Theater just over here. Yeah, just up the street.
And it's based fairly tightly on it, but she developed a lot more music for it. So
yeah,
this has been a big Broadway show. I mean, it's not on Broadway any longer, but it was a Broadway show, and it's been out for public consumption for about 10 years, and a lot of theaters do it, and we're looking forward to it. Seem to have more pre-buzz about this than we do a lot of shows. So.
Well, that's cool, and everybody loves Dolly Parton, so it's kind of a cool thing to do.
It is, and I have to say this, Eric doesn't know I'm going to say this, but the show is called 9 to 5. At this taping, it's 5:30, so Eric's working beyond and above to accommodate me, so we thank Eric for that.
Somebody said one time they wish she'd have sung 10 to 3 so they didn't have to work so long.
As much. I love it. Yeah. I got to tell you this story.
Okay.
When I was in the hosiery sales business back in the 90s, I dealt with companies up in the Northeast like Bradley's and Hill's department stores. They had like 150, 170 stores, different ones.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, it was consolidated. And I called, I don't remember which business it was, but I called like at 10 in the morning. And I asked for the salesperson.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't remember the name now, but they said, she's not in yet. So I called back about 11:30. They said, she's gone to lunch. And I called back about 1:30. They said, she's still at lunch. And I called back about 3, and they said, she's gone for the day. And I said, okay. And then I thought I'd call right back. And I said, can I get a job up there?
Yeah, this is a good place to work.
So, 10 to 3 with an hour for lunch in between.
There you go. Can't beat that. Now, it is, like you say, this is kind of an adaptation, but it's all Dolly songs. Like Dolly did all the music.
Yeah, she did the music. A lady now, I think Patricia Resnick, did the book itself. But as far as the lyrics and the music itself, it's her. And of course, she wrote that, the iconic, the name song, 9 to 5 for the movie. But she's developed for this, there's like 15, 20 songs. So
yeah, there's a lot of songs in it. And they're all good. I was in the Hickory cast when Hickory did it.
I wondered if
about 10 years ago. I was Dwayne.
So we're looking for Dwayne for this show. Yeah.
I was Dwayne the last time, and the Hickory did it, and I just had a lot of fun. And it was just there was a great cast of folks, and I understand that you were trying to get the Roz that we had.
Yes, and we have. She is there. And
is she doing it?
She is, and Janet Brooks is playing.
Janet's in it too.
She's playing Violet this time instead of Judy.
Yeah.
But Angie Warren from Hudson is playing the Doralee character, Doralee Rose, who is based on Dolly Parton. Yeah. So that's Dwayne to her.
Yeah, Dwayne's her husband, and he has a couple of scenes with her, very short, and then maybe sings a line or two, and that was it.
Well, that's at this taping, which is still several weeks out. That's one of the 2 roles we don't have yet. So Eric might want to recreate.
I don't know if I've slept since then. Like you said, that's about 10 years.
Not a lot of lines, so it wouldn't be that.
No, it wasn't a lot of lines, but it was fun.
A lot of times they play him as kind of like a stud muffin and make him a little out there and stuff. Just depends on who does the show, but it's a fun role.
Wasn't no stud muffin when I did.
Oh, yeah,
I just went out there and sung. And
well, you're a great singer, so.
And we had somebody missed a cue when we were doing it, and because right after that, the Lily Tomlin character sings.
Yes.
And she missed her cue, and I sung part of it or something to lead her in.
Well,
and Kelly Dowse was about to kill me. Because she was like, I can't believe you sung her line. And I'm like, well, she wasn't ever singing it.
I was singing it. I was
like, live theater.
When you and I talk, we're going to do that. But I was coming back one time when I was doing the Lost Colony.
Yeah.
We had a group that went up to Busch Gardens in Williamsburg. Yeah. And we were coming home. And I was riding in the front seat, and the girl driving, her name was Danette. I remember that. She was sleepy, and I was watching. She finally ran off the road, and I grabbed the wheel and got us back on the road. She said, How dare you do that? I'm trying to drive. Well, I was just saying her lines. I'm sorry. You're saying her stage line.
Yeah, I sang her stage line, and then she remembered where she was. It was one of those I left the oven on moments that people have. If you're ever on stage and you're ever doing a show, and you start to think, did I leave the iron on? Did I leave the oven on? You're in trouble.
Yeah, you're right.
You are in trouble because you have just left the stage.
You were good to help her, and that's, I've even known somebody, and you say, and you try to be professional on stage, obviously, but you're still a human being. And I had a friend come see a show I did at Johnny Walker Center, seated 1,000 people.
Oh, wow.
And I was intimidated by the potential this person wouldn't like what I did. So here I am in my head as Music Man.
Yeah.
And you got that, well, you got trouble, my friends, right here. That lasts for 12 pages, only you. And the cast responds a little bit. So if you drop that, you have really going up means the theater, forget your lines. And here I'm ready to jump up on the platform. And I'm thinking, he's out there. And then I thought, what is my first line? And once I kind of once I got it going, I was okay. But it's terrifying to be on stage sometimes, or can be.
And I've done it myself. I mean, but everybody's done it. If you're in a community theater production, especially, and so you do that. But that's part of the fun, and every show is different. Every performance is different, no matter what. You can practice all the time.
Yes, and not different shows, but even in that same show, from night to night, it's different. The context of the audience. And
so there's your reason right there to buy multiple tickets to go see 9 to 5.
8 to 3 and all, or 11 to 3. Bill Wilson, who was an early director over at Foothills, remember?
Oh, yeah.
Bill used to always say, if you go up, if you get your lines, move around, it will help you. And I told somebody, and one line, I walked all the way to Cleveland back and still didn't get the lines.
I did a line rehearsal one time, and I couldn't remember the lines until I walked around Foothills stage when Foothills was in the E building, and I had to do it. I had to walk around to get those lines. I couldn't think. Well,
and also your blocking can propel you to what you're doing at a particular place in the show too.
Yeah.
So there are all kinds of techniques and things you can use. But I guess we digress, but it's fun.
We digress, but it's fun to talk to two old theater folks. Yeah, now, so when is the show going up?
Okay, the show opens on March 27th.
Okay.
It's a Thursday through Saturday run, like usual.
Okay.
It's March 27th, 28th, 29th, and the next weekend, April 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So it's 6 shows. And it is dinner theater, and it's catered by Daniel Bonin this time.
Oh, okay.
So the dinner is at 6:30, and the show follows at 7:30. And you can get tickets in 1 or 3. The tickets go on sale on Tuesday, April 28th, which is about around the time this is starting. So you can go to the theater, to the Hub Station box office on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 10 to 5 to get tickets. You can call anytime and leave a message if you don't get Addie live. Yeah. And that's 828-726-8871. But most people now, most conveniently, go to either the Town of Hudson website or the Hub Station website and follow the link to tix.com. Yeah. And you can click on a little box that takes you and shows you all the available tickets.
Yeah, that's the easiest way to do it.
It is the easiest way.
Now, so we talked a little bit about the cast. Now, tell us about the cast. Who all's in this?
Okay. Well, Mark Rose, who you may know from...
Really? I love Mark Rose.
Hart, and he's wanted to do this show for a good while.
Aww.
So I'm tickled. I've been wanting to get him to Hudson for a long time, and he's finally here. And the 3 leads, the Lily Tomlin, Jane Fonda, Dolly characters are the Violet character. Was who Lily Tomlin played. That's Janet Brooks, who's one of the finest actresses around here, and she did the show in Hickory, but played Judy then.
Yeah, she was Judy when we did it. She was great as Judy, so she's a great actress.
She is one of the finest actresses around here, a gracious lady. I worked with her. The only time I ever worked directly with her was she was Mrs. Hannigan when I played Daddy Warbucks in that.
Oh, wow. That'd be
2017.
I bet that was great.
So she came back, so I'm tickled. And then the Judy character, the more naive one, the Jane Fonda character, is Holly Dagenhart, who is also choreographing the show, and she's developed into a fine actress. She was always good, but she gets better all the time. she's a wonderful choreographer.
Oh, yeah.
And we had a lot of fun working with her. A couple of shows she's choreographed for us. Even people like Adam Lowry, who hates dancing, said, it's okay with Holly, moved around some. So she's doing that, so I'm tickled with that. And then, as I said, Angie Warren is playing Doralee, who is the Dolly Parton character.
That was probably the easiest one to cast.
Yeah,
when I saw that, I was like, well, of course.
Well, she's wanted to do that show for years. And and I wouldn't just give it to her because she wants to do it. But
no, she's a very talented singer and actress.
Singer and actress, and also very gracious and funny, and has done a lot of comedies with me, so she'll be great in this. And she's, when she'll get away from Bill just had foot surgery, which I can identify with. So she said it'd be therapeutic. She could get away for a while, do the show, and then go back to take care of Bill.
Take a little break.
So, and you mentioned Jen Wilson Massey now, who I wanted to do a show with for years. We've been peripheral with each other for years too, but she did this role before and wanted to do it again. So
she's a fabulous actress.
So
as
those
well.
are the 5 leads, and then all the Office people are very important, and they're on stage a lot and dance and sing a lot.
Yeah.
So we're still looking for some extra dancers and a few singers to come in, but it's got a great band. We have a lady named Bernadette Watts who's playing the keyboard. She had a long career in music education, but did her last year before she retired as an interim at South Caldwell. She did the chorus there.
I thought I knew her name. I knew that name.
And she worked in Taylorsville for years, but she's accompanying the men's chorus. Now, Sherry January is our usual accompanist.
Yeah.
With her schedule, she wasn't going to be able to do the show, but she was still going to accompany the men's chorus. But she fell on black ice and broke her wrist really badly. So she's out of commission for a while.
Oh, wow.
But Bernadette very graciously stepped into both roles. So she's already was playing the piano for the show, but she's playing for the men's chorus. And then we also have Doug McCowan on drums, one of the finest percussionists around. And he's also a fine actor and singer, but he can't do that and be up there too. I said, Doug, split yourself, clone yourself, go be a drummer,
we need you over here, we need you over
there. And then we also have a young man named Holden Benfield, who's a fine bass player, and Benji Weaver, who plays some in bands with Doug, who's our bassist, or guitarist.
Yeah.
Holden's the bass player. Benji is the guitarist, but it's going to be a fine band, so I'm tickled with that. So that'll all be good.
And it is that peppy country music band. I mean, it's Dolly Parton music.
She really kind of and always has a lot of, like, in the past when people were traditional country, there was a lot of disdain looking on people who came in, like maybe the Barbara Mandrells earlier, people like that, who kind of, Martina McBride, who kind of deviated from the old country to go more into a popular side or something.
Yeah.
People never seem to resent Dolly for that. Dolly's fished around with, some pop music, some rock music, definitely country music, some bluegrass, even made that bluegrass album. So Dolly's very eclectic, does a lot of styles of music, but it does definitely have that country pop upbeat flavor. You'll enjoy the energy of the music, and it's great lyrics too. She's written some wonderful lyrics.
And they were all good songs. That's one of the things when I started rehearsing when I did it, I was like, man, I love these songs. They're such good songs.
People will enjoy them, so I think that'll be good.
Yeah, a lot of fun. So have you got the young boy cast?
Her son is Luke Peruch, who does a lot with us.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because that's a pretty big part.
Yeah, it is. And then Charlie Finley, who's done a lot of shows, the retired lawyer from California who moved here. He's playing Tinsworthy, who's the guy that owns the company and comes in at the end.
Cool.
And Charlie's not a singer, and Luke's not, he sings some, I think, but he's not been a singer, but neither one of them sing in the show.
Yeah.
But Charlie and Luke's now probably 16, and and Charlie's in his mid-70s or later. But anyway, they're like the extreme usually cat. And for some reason, they did like 5 shows together. When we did My Fair Lady, Luke was not in that, but Charlie was. So Charlie said, I'm not going to do another show without Luke. So we got them bookending each other age-wise. But that'll be a lot of fun. A lot of talent in the show.
Oh, yeah. Sounds like it. Sounds like a great cast. And one of the things that you try to tell people that they just don't understand is they're trying to make stuff HD. They're trying to get the best picture, make it lifelike and all that stuff. And all they got to do is go to the theater and see this stuff, because there's nothing, you want the ultimate realistic experience. That is live theater.
Well, and you keyed on it a while ago. It's literally it's live, and you're on the cutting edge every minute. and you can deliver a line slightly differently from one night to the next, and it takes a whole new direction for the show. Yeah. Or the audience may respond to a certain line that they didn't respond to the night before. Yeah. So it's a living entity back and forth with the audience and the actors. And you owe it to yourself to go see live theater.
Yeah, and the reaction of the audience can really change because you spent all these weeks doing it without an audience, and then you get there and you have to hold for the laughs.
Yeah.
You have to hold for the music. You have to hold for the different things, the applause, and you just feel that energy off the audience, and it's wow.
Well, you know this, doing a comedy especially, when you rehearse for 6 weeks and don't have one single laugh, is this funny? That opening night comes and you realize it is. But there'll be some lines you think are going to get a laugh and they don't, and others you don't think will and they will. So that varies too.
Yeah.
I'll give you a real good example. We did the play Madam Buttermilk, and it went really well. And I loved it. But when I went to see it at Barter Theater, the first time I saw it, it was good. But that night there just wasn't a lot of energy on the stage or even in the audience. Then I went back to see it, and it was a whole different dynamic. It was like just a show that just had risen.
Yeah.
But one of the things that triggered it in that show, the girl who plays the stage manager in the show, she's real bossy and says, "Okay, I need all," and you're the audience in the studio. She says, "I need all you people to be quiet. I don't want to hear a peep out of him." This guy sneezed really, but he couldn't help it. And the audience. And she said, it just was, you had to be there with something. She said, "I told you to be quiet." And the rest of the show, the cast would come back and would play on that, and make quips about it throughout the show. It just took the show to a whole different level. So you really are dependent on that audience interacting with you.
Yeah, and it's a surprise every night. There's something just slightly different with each performance. It's that excitement of live theater, and it is just great, and you know, and it's like you say, sometimes you've had a good day or a bad day, then you get to the theater and you're doing the show, and some people will be really up, some people will be really down, and they'll even tell you, they're like, "Last Saturday was my best show." The actors will say.
Stephen Stars and I say, we rate them in order when we've done one together. He's acted with me so the first Friday was the best, the second Friday was second, the first Friday was the third best. We always have that idea. The very first show I ever did was the outdoor drama From This Day Forward in 1977. That's 48 years ago. Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
So the director had just graduated a master's degree from Carolina, and he came, Don Dalton, I remember his name, and he came in to our first company meeting, and he had a suitcase. And he carried it in, and he set it down over at the door, and he came and talked to us. And when we got ready to leave, he said, "This is your baggage." He said, "Leave it at the door, because you're doing something totally different." He said, "It'll be there when you leave. You can pick it back up and free yourself from that." And I've always thought that was a good way to look at it.
That is a good illustration.
We're bringing that in, so I think I'm going to carry it in for this cast on Monday night when we meet.
And at the same time, I've done comedies or musicals and had a bad day, and then got there, and you're singing these happy songs, and you can't help but
it's got to pick
you can't help but smile afterwards, so it makes you feel good. So audition for a play as well. That's something you might want to do. But and there's so many things that people can do in community theater. When you have these auditions and stuff, it's like the folks doing the set. Like, do you have?
Well, the person who's really taking the run with this set right now is Ron Lale. He has AMD, Automatic Machine Design Incorporated. He's a great builder and innovator, and he's designing the set. We have a great crew of workers. Carolyn Ackert, I'd be remiss not to mention her.
Oh, yeah, of
She
course.
is Hudson Dinner Theater, but she's taking a break from this one because she's got so many things going on in her personal life, and she has big shoes to fill. But Carolyn and I, over the years, have assembled a team that we call a family of about 20 people who you can almost always count on. They don't design sets, but they'll come build and do anything you ask them to do.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll have those people working on it, but Ron and I are working on some design, and Chuck Raby's involved too, and Matt Pedraza also is involved with that, so he's our tech guy, our sound guy.
Yeah.
So we've got kind of an innovative, fresh look at it. But yeah, you can swing a hammer, bring the screwdriver, you can nail, hammer, you can paint.
Slap some paint on it.
You can set design. Let's put these flowers over here.
Yeah.
You can work backstage, helping move things.
Pull
Once
the
show's
curtain.
up and running, you be the curtain puller.
There's all kinds of things to do.
There's a million things to do. And you can sing, dance, and act. We will
Yeah,
include
we can
those
do
in there
that too. And sometimes he'll sneak and get the folks that are doing those other jobs to be on the stage.
Well, everybody always tells me, Keith said I could come in and do that, and here I am.
And here I am.
The best one were Doug McCowan, who I mentioned, and Charlie.
Yeah.
We had a cast party at Charlie's house for a few shows ago, and Charlie and Doug were talking and said, Keith's the godfather. Like, once he hooks you in, you never can be free again.
Yeah. It pulls you back in.
But people want to, like Al Pacino, but people want to do it. That's the difference.
Yeah.
And I tell people, I have an agenda, and it's a simple agenda. It's twofold. I want to do quality work. I seek excellence, and I'll push hard for it, but I want to have fun doing it. I don't want anyone to ever dread coming to a music rehearsal or to a dramatic rehearsal, whether it's men's chorus or a play. I want them to look forward to it and have fun. If you can't laugh, then you don't need to be doing it.
Yeah, and it is a lot of fun, and you think, I'll never remember all that. Yeah, you will. Because you kind of have it in bite-sized bits while you're going through rehearsal, and then you kind of put the whole thing together. And so it seems insurmountable when you see a production, but then you realize that it's not that long.
But also, if you do it well, the people who just come to watch, and that's their only involvement, you make it look easy. Then you succeeded, even though it's been very hard.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's easy. Well, that's what you want them to think. So.
And then you've said a line like 20 times, and then all of a sudden it clicks in your head what they're actually saying or how the inflection they're using, and you're just like, oh, well, that's what they mean by that. And so it's discovery and all of that kind of fun.
It's live. It's a continual process. Greg Carswell used to say, you remember Greg?
Greg Carswell. I love Greg.
Yeah, Greg used to say, the trick is to say a line you said like 100 times in rehearsal on stage and make it sound like it just developed in your head for the first time ever. And that's what you have to portray. It's a tightrope. You got to be aware and be thinking, but yet you have to let it be spontaneous. It's hard to trust yourself.
Yeah.
But it's exciting and terrifying.
Now, I've got to ask this just because it is a Dolly Parton show.
Sure.
She's in relative proximity to here. Is there any chance that the real Dolly Parton might show up?
You know me. I've extended the invitation to her. Not heard anything back, and probably 1 in a million chance, but it's out there. You don't find someone if you don't try.
Yeah, that's true.
But she has, what her imagination reading thing, the hub, the Smart Start has one of many, hundreds of those across the Southeast, and I guess the whole country. For her and her band, Bill Warren talked about Angie's husband, who's a fine musician. Yeah. He knows Gary Biscuit Davis, who is from Mountain Ruckus, who played for Dolly, and he brought him in and his band a couple times to play.
Yeah.
And of
they're
course,
at the Dixie Stampede or whatever they call it now.
Stampede.
What's it now?
I'm not sure. I
think it's like Dolly Review or something like that. Yeah, I think it's something like that.
After the political correctness.
But if you ever got to go to that band was phenomenal.
Well, he was a 5-time world champion banjo player.
Oh, good.
But they've been there, so there's precedent.
It's not that far away.
No, it's not far away for her. And I tried to appeal to what may appeal to her, and I mentioned, that Jan Karen has her Mitford Museum there.
Oh wow, that's true too.
And Dan Truitt came up from The Sound of Music with Julie Andrews. I had to get my nerve together to approach him. he was Rolf Gruber when we did in the movie Sound of Music in 1965.
In the actual movie, the actual Robert Wise directed movie
with Julie Andrews. He sang the song 16 going on 17 with the oldest Liesl, the oldest Von Trapp daughter. Well, when Dan did the captain for us, couldn't play Rolf anymore. He was 70. He literally turned 70 September 10th.
He didn't look 70 either.
No, and very vital. But he made the joke. I loved his quip. He said, I was 16 going on 17. He said, now I'm 16 going on 70.
But he was a striking man. I mean, he still was a good-looking man at 70.
And a good man still. I mean, he and I are still friends, but you realize people are people.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying about Dolly. She's a person, so you appeal to people and you reach out, and a lot of times you miss, but you don't get any results unless you try.
Years ago, for Michael Filial, we did Big River at
Yes,
Foothills.
I remember.
And he was talking to Roger Miller, and Roger Miller was dying of cancer. And nobody knew Roger Miller was dying of cancer. And Roger Miller had said that he was going to come to the performance, one of the performances, and wanted to. And then he passed away before the production. And I always kind of was like, if only, you know, I mean, I know he had plenty of other things on his mind than coming to see our show. But I mean, that would have been a thrill of a lifetime, you know.
And I can tell you, you know, Stephen Schwartz,
he's been local.
Godspeed. He is so accessible. Now, he's not come to see any of our shows. I've done 2 or 3 of his musicals, but I've communicated with him. He sent the cast a note. He sent us an email. He just was reaching out and asked us how it went. A very, very accessible, nice man. And just because you're big time, it doesn't mean that you can't be. Now, we tried to get Steve Martin to come in for Bright Star when we did that.
I bet, yeah.
They just, the schedule just didn't accommodate.
Yeah.
So, but you keep reaching out to people.
Well, Stephen Schwartz, he did something in Newton like years ago.
Yeah, well, you might be thinking of Sondheim. They did the Sondheim show or his partner's show. But Stephen Schwartz might have been involved too.
No, there was one that John Coffey had Stephen Schwartz come and they did something over a summer.
Yeah, and I know that Sondheim was involved too, who's another big name. And the thing I love about Stephen Schwartz and Stephen Sondheim, they both wrote their own music and their lyrics, just like Dolly did for this show.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of times people will just do the music and somebody else will do the lyrics, but they did both, and they're very clever and very good music. But yeah, I mean, you got to reach out to people.
But that's another thing that people don't think about. You hear Broadway shows, you see the touring shows. I think Hamilton's in Charlotte right now. And you see these things, but we've had a lot of local folks that go to Broadway and do these shows. I mean, we have a lot of talent here.
There is a lot of talent.
And I've always been impressed. I've never seen anything that I was just like really, thought, that could have been. No, people bring their A game in community theater in the Foothills area, and they always have. And so talented actors and actresses, just crazy, and musicians, world-class musicians. We had Greg Knight for so long, and John Coffey, and just great folks, and just had people that could have been doing it anywhere in the world, and they were doing it here. Yeah,
Greg had a chance to go to New York and decided he was going to stay here. So
Yeah, but great folks, and some of them folks, you miss them all the time. You think about them, you miss them all the time.
I think about Greg about every day.
Yeah, and it's like we just lost David Townsend, who was a big musical theater person in the area, and liked him, and it just, I watched him grow up.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, we were doing shows with him.
He told me one time when he started being intense as a director, he said, I got my intensity from you when you used to work with me on music back at those old Foothills shows. So that was nice to hear, And it counted for something. But
but you lose folks all the time, but you have those sweet memories. It's like we're talking about Greg, Michael Filial, just great people that we've met, and you have this nice community. And if you want to get out and meet people, I've always told folks they need to do a show, even if you're, opening the curtain, pulling the paint, and doing whatever you're doing.
That leads full circle back to what we said. It really is a family.
It is.
And it's, number one, you're with them a lot of time for that period of 6 to 8 weeks. Then people do shows over years and are with people. But when you're on stage, you're reliant on the other person.
Yeah.
And you have to develop a very close relationship to be able to have that relationship back and forth and trust the other person and really listen to them, both on stage and off. And it's there are a lot of aspects of life, I'm sure, that have family atmospheres or attitudes, but for theater, I can't think of anything that's more compelling to drive you into feeling you're part of a family.
Yeah, and you do have a family, and you do one show with somebody, and it's like, man, you know them for life then.
Yeah,
it's like you know them for life, and you just have a great time. And it's always you're always happy to see people. It's like Stephen Starnes. I'm always happy to see Stephen Starnes. Yeah. I run into him at Dollar General, and I'm like, oh my God, Stephen
Starnes. I know.
So stuff like that. You just it is a community, and it's just a great feeling. But more than that, you got to go see the show. It is a good time. It is a fun time. Great music, great cast already. I'm wanting to see it just from the cast, and so you got some great people in it. But the show itself, if you've never seen 9 to 5, you really need to go see it. And what's the dates again? When's it going?
The dates are March 27th, 28th, 29th, April 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and mentioned, I'm sure you'll put them up on the screen, those ways to get tickets. Tickets are $37 for the meal, the Daniel Boone meal, and the show, and $20 for the show only.
Yeah.
And, you're talking about tens of thousands of dollars in production costs for these things, even just. It's really a very reasonable price to be able to do that.
Well, not only that, I mean, and it's worth it when you go to the hub. It's worth it to get the Daniel Boone.
It is.
I mean, it really is.
And we don't automatically get them anymore because they're like everybody else after COVID. They don't have as many employees to come down the mountain for 6 nights to sustain it. But in the spring, we're more able to get them than in the fall when it's leaf season and a lot of weddings.
But whoever you've had, you've always had a good caterer.
We have good caterers.
Boxcar Grill and some other folks.
Yes.
But Daniel Boone Inn, you don't have to drive all the way to Boone. You don't have to get off Frosty.
That's right. You go to Hudson. Get Frosty here too. During this, it's like 10 degrees. But
you go to Hudson and see a show and have a great meal, and it's just a lot of fun. And this show in particular, I don't know man, woman, or children that I would not tell to see the show. It's a great show. It's a lot of fun. It's a good family show. I mean, there's family aspects to it. It doesn't get any dirtier than a Dolly Parton song, so nothing bad. There's no raunchier than Dolly Parton
when
song.
You see what's on Broadway and things now, it's nowhere near.
Nowhere near. You might get a little risque,
here,
every now and then, but nothing crazy.
But I keep telling people too. Go back to Carolyn Eichard.
Yeah,
she was one of the old ladies in ours. Thinking old lady, she wasn't old, but she played the old lady. And in the show, she killed 13 people.
Yeah,
thinking she was doing good, putting them out of their misery, lonely gentlemen. I love it because she said at the very end, there's this one little sinister line where Jonathan, her son's friend that he's killed 12 people, and Carolyn says, or her character says, I got 13.
I got 13.
That's written in. But the reason I brought that up was because Carolyn Eichard is not a murderer.
No.
If you drink in a show, it doesn't mean you're a drunk. If you're kind of carousing in a show, it doesn't mean that's who you are in real life. You're playing a character.
Yeah, you're acting.
Accept that, yeah. If you just have people sitting around the table, it would be boring. You got to have people doing things, interesting things.
And it is stepping out of your comfort zone and doing something you totally wouldn't do. So like hog tying the boss and
that's right. Well, Susan Wooten is the college. She did like 3 shows for me, and she played floozies in every one of them. And I always wish that my mother's going to be so proud of me.
When I started theater, I was either the angry dad or comic relief, and I ended up in long handle underwear, like in 3 of them.
Yeah.
I don't know how that happened.
Probably in Big River, you probably
Big River, I had long handle underwear. I did anything goes, and I had long handle underwear. And so just being and it always makes you feel good when you walk out on stage and people start laughing. As soon as the lights go up, you haven't even said anything, but they see you standing there in a pair of long handle underwear.
Yeah, well, Steven Starr did that when we did the Fantastics.
Yeah.
And of course, he's got a loincloth that goes over it. But you're thinking he's naked. He's not. He's got on
got on your long johns.
But the first night of the show, his loincloth fell off.
Oh, no.
And the audience roared for 2 minutes. And he pulled it and fell again. It was just perfect. You wouldn't expect that. So.
I did a show at Foothills. We did Gaslight, and I was the British inspector, and Aaron Lewis directed it.
And make sure you call him Aaron.
Aaron. That was how he went. Aaron.
Yeah.
Miss him too. But Aaron, he gave me Play-Doh with the jewels in it, and there was supposed to be like 12 or 13 jewels or something. And the stage at Foothills was only like this yay high. And so you're very close to the audience, and I dropped one of the diamonds, the rubies or whatever, and it rolled, and a little girl got up and picked it up and handed it to me.
Yeah.
I mean, because she's right there.
That's
I mean,
kinda
so she
sweet
picked
in a
it up,
way, yeah.
and she handed it to me, and I went, "Why, thank you," you know. And then I put it, and the audience roared for
That's
like
good.
you know for a long time, and I look over to the other side of the set, and I can see Donna Devereaux's back, and she's laughing, trying to not turn around.
That proximity could potentially be dangerous at that little theater. We don't do shows there anymore.
Yeah.
Chris Cook and I were having a sword fight in the Fantastic.
The Fantastics,
and
yeah.
wooden swords, and we tried to explain to him, you know, that bring it and then stop, but he just followed through. So he shattered his sword, and a piece went and hit this lady in the head.
Oh no!
And stuck, and she had to have a couple of stitches. But
wow, she actually had to have stitches
that's
from
a
it. Oh wow!
But that doesn't happen in most theaters. There are
That's a
times when
tiny
you're
theater.
as close as me and you up to the audience in that.
Oh, yeah.
that little setting.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But it's yeah, you got a good stage at the
Yeah,
the
you're
hub, so
separated from that.
you're pretty far up.
Vic Wilcox, when we did that show, The Fantastics, there, he swung out over the audience. So I loved it.
Ooh, it was 3D.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was the stage was really close. It was a small black box theater.
It was literally a black box
and
theater.
it was a lot of fun, and but it's those shows you could really. I was trying to think of some other incident that come up with that, but it was a small theater,
Well,
and sometimes you walk through there.
We did Twinderella there, which was about Cinderella and her twin brother Bob, and had like 40 kids. I directed that there back it was in the early 2000s. And Penny Nix, who's passed away too, nice lady, she had her little dog, who was a beautiful little dog in the show, and he stayed on the stage the whole time, or she did.
Yeah.
Well, the dog walks out in that little Foothills audience right in the middle of the thing, and relieves herself, number one, and walks right back up and gets right back on her little pedestal. So, you got to interact. Very much so.
Interact. Stuff's going to happen. It's live theater, so you just
Live
don't
theater.
know.
I love it.
So lots of fun. Well, Keith, it's always great to see you, and I'm
Always
looking
great to
forward
see
to
you.
9 to 5. Because
We got to get you back on the stage.
Yeah. So, but it's a lot of fun. The show is a lot of fun. And it's well worth your time. So you really need to go see it.
I mean, there's not really more you can sell than Daniel Boone and having
I mean,
fellowship
you're
with
going to
other
have the
people
great
and
meal.
seeing
You're going to
great
hear
music.
Dolly Parton's great music, and I mean, there was not a song that I know she took the songs from other albums and stuff that she did probably or tweaked them, but I was just like amazed at how they all fit and how it all worked together.
She wrote a lot of it freshly too, and I remember, I'm going to throw a Tom Hanks example in here. Tom Hanks one time made the comment that he hated musicals. It was on the Letterman show, and I said, why?
God.
And he said, because you're going along with this story, then all of a sudden you stop and have a song, then you get back to the story. Well, this one, along with really good musical theater, you incorporate the music in with the story as part of the storytelling, which works. But I always thought what's so funny is after Tom had made that statement like a month later or 6 months later, he was one of the executive producers for Mamma Mia, the movie.
Yeah.
I thought, well, the money must have come through.
Yeah, the money, which I heard at the time was the biggest money-making movie that ever came out of Britain. It was a British production company, and it was their biggest movie they had ever had. That's why there was a sequel and all that. Yeah. But it's just there's nothing like live theater and just having that. It's just really exciting. I remember what I was going to mention now. I saw when Hugh Jackman first started and he did Oklahoma on Broadway, and it was before Wolverine. It was kind of like right around Wolverine when he was in the X-Men movies. And so everybody's like, who's this Australian guy, whatever, and he came in and was singing that song. And the famous British director Trevor Nunn was directing the show, and he told them, his lines is Curly in Oklahoma. He said, when there's a bright golden haze on the meadow, he said, you don't say the next line of the song until you feel it until you've got a reason to
move on.
say those, and that's the way Rodgers and Hammerstein wrote as well. And so you had that. It was an actual motivation. It was a conversation. It wasn't let's stop and do a song.
Yeah,
it was part of the story and the story and told the story, and that's really what it is. And but the songs in 9 to 5 are fabulous, and I just remember really liking the show. There's a lot of good harmony scenes. I remember, and it's just really good show.
So we're still trying to bring in a few more singers to flesh out that harmony. You might be coming in there.
Get them out there.
There's some great harmony. So. That's a great thing. The John Wayne story talking about motivation, and he was in the movie The King of Kings. He was just one of the Roman soldiers. He was even though he'd already done a lot of famous things. And the director said, he said, surely this man was the Son of God. And the director said, John, say it with awe. Yeah. And it's supposed to be a true story. He says, awe. Surely this man is the Son of God. That's great. Yeah.
We used to laugh at, well, I worked in radio and TV. We used to laugh at Edward G. Robinson in the Moses movie. Where's your Moses now? Yeah. like the gangster he always played.
And that great old thing about Cecil B. DeMille had cast of thousands, and the joke is that they're running this scene through the valley when the Israelites are fleeing, and that was just amazing. One take, and he turns to the camera and says, "Ready when you are, CB."
I get all these thousands of people to move again in the same way. But anyway, but there's nothing like live theater. You got to go out and see 9 to 5. It's going to be a great night, 2 great weekends at the Hub. And I mean, the Hub puts on a show. I mean, if you've ever been, if you've not been, you really need to go. And you get a great dinner and a great show, and it's a lot of fun.
We appreciate it, Eric. Thank you for all you do for us here and on stage down there too.
It'll be a while before I do that again, I think. Never say never, though.
You may be up there before this one's over.
Never say never.
Never say never. That's right.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Keith.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you guys for watching Caldwell County Today.